G'day mates. Where do we begin? For the next 30 or 40 minutes, hopefully it doesn't take that long, you have the pleasure of listening to me talk about this little piece of plastic. Doesn't that sound like fun? VCOM, hey? So for those of you that don't know, VCOM essentially makes therapy easier. That's a great summary. It makes therapy easier. You put it between your mask and your CPAP machine, and what it does is it reduces the pressure when you breathe in. Right, so you don't get all those mask leaks, mouth leak, aerophagia, a whole bunch of side effects. That is the ideology behind it all. The creator is Dr. William Noah, and I like him. I like him a lot. I like his device a lot. However, it's a bit of a mystery as to what's going on with this device. There's a bit of science, a lot of data out there, but no real detailed data. So I set myself a little challenge, and that was to look into the bloody thing, see what's actually going on with this device, because it started out as a comfort accessory, which it is, and a very good one at that. If you're a beginner, you should 100% try this if you're struggling with CPAP. In fact, all those of you watching now that sell CPAP gear, if you want to lift your compliance rates, start selling this thing. $30 or whatever it is. Wholesale, I think, is, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks. I could be wrong, but it's around that. Give it out with every one of your patients and just say, hey, if you're struggling, put this in your tube and smoke it. All right, see how you go. But it started out as a comfort accessory, and then it's gradually just morphed into this ideology. And Dr. William Noah, very, very smart guy. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm half as smart as him. I'm not. However, what I do have is a shit ton of data. I've got a lot of data these days, and I've got a great platform that really helps me deep dive into the data to see what's going on with VCOM, because like I said, it's morphed. It's more than just a piece of plastic now. They are making a device, Kairos PAP, a new CPAP based around this technology, a reverse CPAP, if you will, where instead of the inhalation pressure as you breathe in being higher than the exhalation pressure as you breathe out, it's the other way around, back to front CPAP. Can you believe that? Anyway, today we're going to take a look at a SleepHQ study. 18 participants. For the first week, no VCOM. For the second week, VCOM. And we're going to take a look at their detailed reports. Very, very interesting data indeed, for those of you that like your data. All right, but everything else was the same. All the settings the same. The only difference was we inserted the VCOM in week 2. In fact, Dr. Noah and associates have done a similar study right here, Journal of Sleep Disorders and Therapy. Dr. White is in it also. I did a live stream of his video not long ago, introducing the Kairos PAP, the new algorithm, very exciting stuff. And I don't want to throw a spanner in that works. This video today isn't about me saying, hey, VCOM sucks. Not about that at all. I'm just going to show you some data because there's a few things I want to show you, basically. Now, old mate's study is reducing inhalation pressure, call it IPAP, to treat obstructive sleep apnea, provides equivalent therapy, improves comfort, and reduces unintentional leak. Basically, what he's saying here is you can reduce that high inhalation pressure that you feel with CPAP, and it provides equivalent therapy. Not much changes, but you reduce leak and improve a whole bunch of discomfort. So I'll quickly give you a rundown of this study here and the key findings, and then we'll look at my study. All right, so, and here are the results. And I agree 100% with all of these results. AHI reduction, the apnea-hypopnea index decreased significantly with use of the VCOM device. Tick. Pressure settings. The P90, P95 pressure setting did not significantly change, indicating maintained efficacy. Tick. The pressure doesn't really change, but I don't know about the indicating maintained efficacy part. We'll go into that later on in the video. Usage time. There was a significant increase in usage time with the VCOM device. Tick. This is training wheels for sleep apnea patients. right here. It makes CPAP therapy easier. That's what it does. So if you want to boost those compliance rates, like I said, VCOM, my friends. Leak reduction, unintentional leak was significantly reduced with the VCOM device. Big fat tick right there. Patient preference. After the study, the majority of patients preferred to continue using the VCOM device, citing improved comfort and other benefits. And I would give that one a tick as well. There are some patients who prefer not to use it. They find it a little bit suffocating, but I think the majority of people who use this prefer CPAP therapy with it. Okay, these guys are reinventing the wheel. They believe the pioneers of CPAP got it wrong. That's what they believe. And sometimes I can relate to this. You become so convinced in your own beliefs that you stop looking at the data. Maybe you don't want to look too deep into the data. Let's check out my results. A huge thank you to the 18 SleepHQ Pro participants for donating their time and energy to do this study. I know a lot of you were using VCOM and I told you to take it out for the first week. You're like, damn it. I really appreciate it. And so does the world, because they're benefiting from your effort right here, right now. So as I said previously, with our study, first week was without VCOM, next week with VCOM, no other changes. And we're using our SleepHQ weekly report to look at all the data changes. So this is the most detailed weekly report on the planet, the most detailed CPAP report on the planet by a long way. I'll quickly show you what it looks like right here. And this is an automatic generated report. All you need to do is upload your data to SleepHQ and we take care of the rest, and we send you this every week via email. Here it is right here. So you get a lot of your standard stuff, but you get so much more as well. So we give you the tidal volume, respiratory rate, minute ventilation, airflow limitation here as well. We give you the oxygen data if you have a SleepHQ O2 ring here. Just put it on your thumb or finger before you go to bed. Got a very high sample rate of 4 seconds. So it takes a measurement of your blood oxygen every 4 seconds. And I think this is where our results from our study differ from the other clinical study, which I mentioned earlier. The blood oxygen data, so important. Now, the first results we'll take a look at is the average AHI. And as you can see by the sea of green, most participants experienced a drop in the AHI from 1 week to the next when they added in VCOM. Only 3 participants experienced an increase in the AHI. But as you can see here, we're coming off a very, very low base, aren't we? You know, like most participants have a very, very acceptable AHI, less than 5. There's only, one above 5. WG here at 6.11 down to 5.23. But this is the nature of the beast with the AHI number. It is a steaming pile of dog doodah. And the sooner you realize that, the better. And here are the observations. Average drop in the AHI of 13.47%. And the results are statistically significant, meaning they're likely not due to chance. Moving on, average leak. And would you look at that, hey? It's a thing of beauty. And this, my friends, is the number one reason to try VCOM. It is so good at reducing those unintentional leak rates, whether it's mask leak or mouth leak. And leak, my friends, is a royal pain in the butt. There was a 55.5% reduction in average leak using VCOM. That's all you need to know right there. Using VCOM reduced total time in large leaks by an average of 18.14%. That's really important as well. Once you hit that 24 liters per minute of unintentional leak, whether it's outside the mask or through your mouth, whatever it is, then shit hits the fan. Leak compensation kicks in. It drops the pressure when it should be going up. The machine can no longer flag those respiratory events, your apneas, your hypopneas, your central apneas with statistical accuracy. So you end up with that low AHI because the machine just goes, no, I'm not flagging that. I don't know what's going on. Everything just goes to shit when your leak rates are high. And that's why this thing is such a game changer, because it reduces those leaks, keeps the pressure in the mask, forcing air into your lungs, right? And just improves comfort. Amazing. Next, we have the average pressure, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. However, the yellow rows are from participants using their device in CPAP mode, fixed to one pressure. They're not in automatic mode. Sort of surprised me a little bit. I assume that just most people are using automatic devices these days, but turns out a lot of people are using their device in fixed pressure mode, and that is A-OK by me. However, if we come down here, we can see that on average, there was a 1.65% increase in pressure using VCOM, and these results are statistically significant. All right, next we have the average tidal volume, the amount of air flowing into your lungs with each breath. And in all honesty, this is what sort of sets the SleepHQ study apart from that other study, which is more sort of top level. We're down in the weeds now, right? This is in-depth respiratory data, and this is what RTs want to know. Sleep and respiratory physicians want to know. Yes, they know the AHI sort of stayed the same, but what happens with the tidal volume? What happens with the minute ventilation? What happens with this like detailed data? And we can see it right here. It's a sea of red. And if we come down a little further, another nice chart. All right, so results are very statistically significant. 0.0000018. What do we got? 4 zeros. They're not due to chance. They're due to this. All right. And when you think about it, it makes sense. What's it doing? It's a resistor. It's reducing the airflow. So there's going to be less airflow into your lungs, isn't there? Makes sense. On average, the initial tidal volume was originally 401 milliliters per breath into your lungs, which decreased to 349. So the average reduction in tidal volume was 51.31 milliliters of air into your lungs with every breath. On average, there was a 12.97% reduction in tidal volume using VCOM, a statistically significant result. It's reducing the amount of air into your lungs. All right, AHI stays the same, leak rates improve, blah, 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 blah. There's less air coming into your lungs with each breath. Right there. Average respiratory rate, a sea of green. Now, green means there was a drop in respiratory rate. I don't really know if that's better or worse, but that's what the green means there. Reduced respiratory rate by 3.17% on average. So it slows your breathing just down a little bit. Average minute ventilation, the amount of air flowing into your lungs every minute. And it's a sea of red. And if we come down to the observations here, highly statistical significant result. 0 point, lots of zeros, 568, all right? Not due to chance, due to VCOM. The average reduction in minute ventilation was 1 liter. Crazy. 1 liter of oxygen less per minute. And this is a decrease of 15.36% from without to with VCOM. I'm missing my beard. Where's my beard gone? I did get lucky though. That was good. Next, we have the average flow limitation, and this fits like a glove. So flow limitation is upper airway resistance during inhalation. As you breathe in, there's a lot of restriction there. It's not obstructive apnea where your airway is like closed. It's not hypopnea where your airway is slightly closed, right? It's less, but it's still very, very significant, and I'll highlight this in a moment. And what we can see here, the average value for week 1 without VCOM is 0.096, while for week 2 with VCOM, it's 0.162. So nearly double the amount of airflow limitation, and this is on the average. But with the P95 value, the percentage increase across all CSV files is approximately 76.45%. There's a dramatic increase in the airflow resistance during inhalation, and that makes sense. All right, there's less pressure during inhalation. There's less airflow velocity during inhalation. So there's less air moving past the restrictions. So there's more restriction. And when there's more restriction, what does the ResMed algorithm do? It is very sensitive to airflow limitation. So it increases. Like I said before, I think there's less obstructive apnea because there's less air leaks and so on. but there's more airflow limitations. So it's sort of balancing up the books when it comes to that pressure delivery, which is why you don't see much of a difference in the pressure delivery. Next, we have the blood oxygen average. Once again, this is where the SleepHQ study comes into its own, not mentioned in that other study. And if you're monitoring a condition like sleep apnea, why wouldn't you include blood oxygen data? It's the holy grail. If you got diabetes, you monitor your blood sugar levels. If you got sleep apnea, you monitor your blood oxygen, because that's what it affects when you stop breathing, your blood oxygen. And as you can see here, it's not a sea of red, but there's a lot of red. All right. And it's not a big drop, but it's a significant drop. And the results are statistically significant. So on average, the initial O2 was 96.12%, slightly decreasing to 95.18% after using VCOM. It's only a slight drop, but I think those results are significant. And when you look back at the tidal volume, the airflow limitation, the minute ventilation, that in-depth data, the airflow into your lungs, that's what it's all about. It's important. We've also got the total O2 drops over 4%. I wish I had have done over 3%. It takes a lot to move that needle to over 4%. And it's a mixed bag of results, but the results are really important because it just shows you that it's not a one-size-fits-all with this. All right, there are some people here, like, look at this, pH. Originally, no VCOM, only 14 drops for the whole week, over 4%. Now he's up to 155. That is a hell of a lot of drops, an increase of 100%. Look at TS here, 13 originally, up to 49. For some people, adding VCOM, it does affect blood oxygen levels. It reduces the average. It results in more drops. Where is that airflow resistance? Is it up here in your nose, in your sinus, because you've got a deviated septum? Do you have a recessed jaw, so it's back here and your jaw's falling back? Is it your big tongue? Is it your tonsils? Is it your fat neck? Perhaps you've got a floppy uvula just flapping around in the breeze. But depending on where the restriction is, depends on the treatment. That's why it's so personalized. Whether or not you can use a nasal mask, whether or not you're better with a full face mask, whether or not VCOM works for you. And until you try it out, and this is why the SleepHQ weekly report is so damn good, because you can literally try out a mask, try out another mask, and go, hey, have a look at that. And I've done a video on that recently. Click the link above. So you can try out stuff and see what works for you. That is SleepHQ, my friends, in a nutshell. That's me in a nutshell. And here is Uncle Nico's take-home message, which I kind of just mentioned 2 seconds ago. Sleep apnea is highly personalized. We'll skip the top section, move on. Many patients can benefit from this affordable accessory. Those include those with high leaks, those with mouth leak issues, those with aerophagia. That's air into your stomach. Very painful. Gas. Those with dry nose, throat, and mouth, often linked with mouth leak issues. Those with high central apnea count. Those struggling with compliance, usage, just getting comfortable with the therapy. High airflow during inhalation can be pretty uncomfortable for many. Softening this airflow with VCOM can significantly enhance your therapy comfort without significantly impacting the overall effectiveness of your treatment. Significantly, important word there. That being said, as I demonstrated in many videos, relying solely on the AHI is misleading, very misleading. Huge underestimation. You need to closely monitor other metrics like your flow limitation, your tidal volume, and O2 data if you plan on trying VCOM, especially if you have UARS, upper airway resistance syndrome. A lot of upper airway resistance already. You add VCOM, more upper airway resistance. I don't think we can wave goodbye to inhalation pressure just yet. All right, now let's check out Phil's results, because Phil was, I wouldn't say an anomaly, but I think it's important to highlight his results because he was doing really well and then he put this in his circuit, no good. And we'll start with his weekly report. So here it is here. So everything looks okay originally, like, apnea hypopnea index doesn't change much. But if we come down here, Like his leak rates improved significantly. Check this out. Total time in large leak, 2 hours and 40 seconds. Originally, no VCOM. He puts VCOM in his pipe, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. A reduction of 98.29% in the leak. So leak rates improved dramatically, right? Come down here. Check out the tidal volume here. Originally, 403 mils with every breath, down to 282 mils with every breath. Big reduction, 29%. Respiratory rate increased slightly. Maybe this is because there's less air coming into his lungs, so he needs to breathe a bit quicker. Don't know. Minute ventilation. So this is liters per minute of air into his lungs. Originally 7.16, down to 5.32, a reduction of 25.7%. So there's less air coming into his lungs every minute of every night. And check out the flow limitation. This is really important here. So the average went from 0.01 up to 0.12, which is a 1,100% increase. And the 95th percentile, 0.08, so not much upper airway resistance to a lot of upper airway resistance, 0.5%, an increase of 525%. And the oxygen data reflects this. So the O2 average, not a big decrease here, 95.87% to 94.66%, only down 1.26%. But check out the total time less than 90. Originally 56 seconds, now it's 1 hour and 15 minutes, up nearly 8,000%. And check out the total drops more than 4%. Originally only 14. He puts VCOM in his pipe and he's got 155 drops over 4% now. You can think of that as 155 interruptions. The old lady giving you the nudge, stop snoring, shut the hell up. All right, and that's an increase of 1,000%. All right, lowest O2 dropped as well. Now, it's one thing looking at that weekly report and the averages. I love that. But let's take a closer look at the data. And to anyone watching right now, you guys can sign up for a free SleepHQ account, upload your data in minutes, and you can do exactly what we're doing right here, right now. There's just so much information that's right there at your fingertips. So over here is a night without VCOM. And over here is one of the nights with VCOM. So we'll start without, and we've recently added some new Apple Health metrics. That's why you've got the steps. You can track your weight, calories, and so on, and combine that with your CPAP data. Love that. But I really want to highlight two charts. So apnea hypopnea index, 0.00. Flawless. Come down here. All right, so we've got the pressure. He's on 13 centimeters fixed pressure. You can see it's a straight line, this green line here. It's not automatically changing, one fixed rate of pressure through the night. We have the blood oxygen here. And what I want you to take note of is just how stable it is, all right? Very, very stable. Look at this, 96, 96, 96, 97, 96, 96, 96. And there's very low amounts of airflow limitation. Okay, there's not a whole lot of resistance up here in his airway, limiting the airflow into his lungs. Look at this. I'll zoom in so you can see. All right, have a look at that. That's what you're after. And if we zoom in on the breathing, this is every breath Phil takes. Look at the breathing. Nice. Nice and consistent, nice and stable. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Now let's head over here to the night with VCOM. Same settings, all right? You can see here, 13 centimeters, EPR off, exactly the same mask, everything the same. But if we come down here, check this out. All right. I'll just reset the charts over here. So here's the blood oxygen. Can you see a massive difference here? Look at these big drops. A lot of drops. Look at the flow limitation throughout the whole night. Right. And then the breathing. We'll zoom in on the breathing here. All right, so before, very stable breathing. After, I'll scroll forward for you. Obstructive apnea, hypopnea, 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 flow limitation, big oxygen desaturations. Exactly the same settings. So what has happened here is by putting this resistor in place and limiting that inhalation pressure, that high velocity airflow, it's had a very negative effect on his results. So after the study had finished, Phil was very happy that his leak had reduced significantly, his mask leak, but he wasn't too happy with his blood oxygen levels. So he decided to increase his CPAP pressure from 13 up to 15.6. Now, normally what happens when you include this into the circuit, it drops the inhalation pressure by anywhere between 1 to 2 centimeters, maybe around that. All right. So Phil has increased that inhalation pressure by 2.6 centimeters beyond what this can reduce the pressure by. You follow? I know it's confusing. So AHI great, 0.00. We don't care about the AHI because it is steaming pile. All right, come down a little bit further. Here's the pressure, 15.6. EPR is still off. He has jacked up that pressure. But check this out here. All right, so here's the pressure, 15.6 versus 13. Look at the blood oxygen levels here. All right. Now we have all these drops. Look at the airflow limitation. Big jump. You can see it here. Okay, we can see big jump. Now, the leak rates have improved significantly. Look at the leak rates here. A lot of leak rate, no VCOM. So the leak rates have improved because it's softening the airflow. However, his results are worse. He's increased inhalation pressure. His results are worse. Why? Why? I think it has to come down to the velocity of the airflow. The speed of the air, not the pressure, not the force against the walls of your airway. The speed of the air is what is reducing this airflow limitation. And when you put this in there, it reduces the speed of the air. Yes, it drops the pressure, but it reduces the speed, and you get an increase in airflow limitation, which was statistically significant across the participants. And because of that, for some people, they're sensitive to that, and you get these drops in oxygen levels. Not for everyone. All right. We had improved leak rates. Look, the leak rates have improved. A lot of airflow limitation, more drops in blood oxygen level. If you're going off the AHI, yeah, amazing, 0.00, 0.00. But these two profiles are completely different. Look at the minute ventilation here. What have we got? Without VCOM, we got 9, 8, 7, right? With VCOM, 5, right? 4.6. There is a lot less air getting into Phil's lungs every minute. You can see it in the blood oxygen. You can see it with his upper airway resistance, all right? Completely different results, same AHI. That's why that other study is not as good as our study. So the take-home message is this. VCOM is amazing. It works wonders. However, unless you look at the detailed data, you have absolutely no idea what it's doing to your data. And it's clear from our SleepHQ Pro study that inhalation pressure is important, at least to some. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy the video. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, sleep well, look after your mates, and I better go cook some dinner for my kids. Cheers.